Everybody. This is today's theme is actually an associate member check-in, and I see we do have some associate members with us. And thank you to our contractor members as well for joining. It's always a collaborator partners, and we mostly want our associate members to know that we have not forgotten about you. We know you're going through every bit as much of challenging times as everybody, and the purpose is really to kind of check in and see how you're all doing, and also to see what MCA can be doing, or what maybe some of our contractor member firms might find useful as far as help from you guys. So we just wanted to give the opportunity for this forum for that. So we do have, like I said, some contractor members on. John Payne, thanks for joining us, and Sophie Dial from McKinstry, and John's from Auburn, Lisa Elbert from UMC, Chris Keel, I see from Permacold, Jerry Bush from UMC, and I'm not quite sure who else is on, but thank you all very much for joining us. So Leah, I'm going to let you start off by first of all interviewing the chair of our associate member committee, Chris Howard with Milwaukee Tool, and then I would like to open up the floor to the rest of the associate members to kind of tell us how things are going for you, what challenges you're facing, and then open it up to everybody else just for some conversation, ideas, and feedback. So Leah, go ahead.
Yeah, and so this is going to be, we're kind of winging it a little bit, but to keep everybody from talking over each other. So if you're on video and you have some input, you have a question, literally just raise your hand. If you're not on video, just put your name in the chat, and then we'll make sure we queue you up so that we can get your input. We just want to make sure people aren't talking over each other, because then you have a lot of stops and starts, and then it gets really weird and awkward. So yeah, so again, thank you everybody for joining us today. And also thank you, Chris, for helping us put this together and kind of letting us put you on the spot here a little bit to start with.
Absolutely.
So let's start a little bit. Let's kind of take this two-pronged as far as how you're doing. How are you doing personally, and how are things going professionally for you?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you very much for Leah and Robin for putting this on. I think this is a great opportunity to continue to bridge the gap with our contractor members and our associate members. But personally, we're doing really well overall. Myself, Milwaukee Tool, we're doing really well. Obviously fighting through the normal obstacles, I would say, that any other contractor member or associate member firm is dealing with on a day-to-day basis. But overall, like I said, doing really well. Can't really complain. The family's really well. Our team's doing really well. And that's been first and foremost on everybody's mind, especially at Milwaukee Tool. And kind of, portraying that to the rest of the associate member committee. Hopefully everybody else is doing really well as well. Staying healthy. But outside of that, really can't complain. Obviously, I would say the big obstacles have come and gone, and now we've kind of seen what the future is going to hold, and now we're starting to set game plans for how we're going to attack that and continue to engage. So it's been good.
Yeah. So what do you think the future holds?
To be honest, for the first couple of weeks, I think it was day to day. You really couldn't answer that. But now I think for us, I think the future holds, it's bright. It holds a lot for us in retrospect to technology and things like that. So, for instance, in the construction industry, I know we talk a lot about how technology and construction is merging right now. So that is something that's been a huge leverage point, because, companies, whether you're an associate member or a contractor member, you're having to adopt these technological advances, whether it be, implementing Zoom, virtual meetings, virtual education trainings, what may be, everybody's having to adopt this. And I think it's, not only doubling that pace and making everybody, jump on board, but it's, it's almost tripling the pace, it seems like.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what does your world look like right now as far as how you're interacting with the contractor members?
Yeah. Great question. For us, we are a very big company on face-to-face interaction. So for us, this was a big adjustment, going to virtual meetings, things like that. But for us, what we've done is we've created everything from support pieces for the contractor members, for distribution channels, all the way up to new product development, things like that. We're a very innovative company, so we're always continuing to stay top of mind with that. Instead of going out and doing research one-on-one on a job site, now it's sending out survey monkeys and utilizing some other leverage points that we can to continue to move the industry forward and continue to get what we have to do as a tool manufacturer, and really, continue to move the industry forward, I would say.
Yeah. Do you think there's going to be, going forward in the next 2 or 3 months, do you think there's going to be any manufacturing kind of hiccups or kind of, slowdowns or issues like that as far as, just, the manufacturing process or the supply chain? What issues do you anticipate there?
Yeah, another great question. I know, especially even before the call started, a lot of people were already bringing up the N95 respirator thing. So in certain categories like PPE and respirators, we're obviously going to deal with bigger hiccups than, say, your normal power tools or hand tools or accessories. On that line, we actually, just because we're a globally diversified company, we're actually able to leverage different resources. So say, for instance, like Wuhan, China, where the virus started, we're actually, we have manufacturing overseas, but we're able to leverage some more of our U.S. manufacturing in those cases. So really, there's been obstacles, absolutely, trying to figure out manufacturing processes, getting supplies to our manufacturing facilities has been another issue. But we are, like I said, we are absolutely dealing with those and overcoming those. And I think everybody's been dealing with that across the board, I would say. But really, it's been a full-on strategy from manufacturers, our suppliers, our supply chain, getting everybody on board and in line with future goals. But
Right.
pretty well.
One last question kind of directed at you, and then we'll kind of expand our, picking on people here. So when work does kind of resume and things pick back up, what kind of, what is that going to look like as far as, tool manufacturing, and what's going to change for you, do you think?
For us, I think it's actually going to maybe reinvent the wheel of how we look at certain processes. For instance, because of the virus, we've had to pivot to more digitally interaction. So for instance, before I would say we were 95% face-to-face customer interaction. Now we are complete opposite, 95% digitally, I would say, or virtually. So for that, it's been awesome to see kind of what's going to be coming out of this. And I think for us, it's just more of, that technology piece, kind of always going back to that, being able to leverage this. For the first couple of weeks, we obviously had our hiccups figuring out bandwidth and things like that of working remotely. But now I'm actually experiencing things where we're actually getting more done in a shorter amount of time because we're cutting down, logistics, things like that. We're not having to travel, and we're actually getting a lot more done in a shorter amount of time, which is awesome.
Wow. Okay. That's cool. Yeah. So there's a light, right?
Absolutely. There's a light. Absolutely. And that's kind of what I want to, portray to the group as well. Is doesn't matter if, you're a contractor member, you're an associate member. I want to kind of vouch for the entire group and say, everybody's going through those pain points. But great thing is we have organizations like MCAWW Western Washington, where we have support groups where we can come in and break bread together, do virtual happy hours, things like that, to commit, continue to pass off and make sure everybody is doing well, because this is, at the end of the day, it's a three-legged stool, and without contractor members, associate members, that support from MCAWW Western Washington, I don't think, we're going to function as efficiently as we would. So just making sure everybody's on the same page and has, that open line of communication for everybody.
Yeah. So I did have a question here that came up. It says, does Chris think this will create a long-term change as to how they do business and go to market? Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's a great question. Thank you very much, Chris, for that question. I would say it's actually going to completely change how we go to the business. For instance, so we just launched a product called MX Fuel, which is a complete battery-powered solution that's taking away emissions. So, for instance, a 14-inch hot saw going from gas to battery. Before, when we were looking at doing business, going out, showing the customer things, it was a one-off approach. Now we're able to send out surveys, get videos, and really almost tie in a digital piece to this, where we can do the same things, accomplish the same goals, but we can actually expand our reach. For instance, instead of having one job site test this now, we can actually send a survey out to multiple job sites or multiple field employees and get multiple feedback at one time. So it's been really great. But this will create long-term change, absolutely, but I think in a very positive way for the entire group, not only in just the world, in the tool manufacturing world.
Oh, Chris, I love your positivity.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to stay positive during this time. That's for sure. It's there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think we've all seen the worst of it. That's for sure. So it's just more of continuing to come together, continue to collaborate, and things like that. And I think groups like MCAWW Western Washington do a great job at that.
Awesome. Hey, so Ty, I see that you're on the line. What's going on in your world right now? And how is Ferguson kind of navigating through all of this?
Well, two fronts. There's the customer piece that we've added a lot of app type stuff that you can actually pick up your products outside through an app, the online ordering, so that person-to-person contact is very limited now. And it seems to be working just fine. As far as supply chain goes, it's really hit and miss with each individual manufacturer, and it really depends on where they're getting their materials from. But so far, no shortage other than products that have never been used in the amounts that they have, like small hot water heaters are extremely hard to get because all of a sudden we're doing all these remote hand washing stations. So depending on the product and what it's being used for, so far any of the main stuff looks great, but any of the specialty stuff, it looks like it's getting tight.
Okay. Yeah. So how do you see Ferguson functioning, say 3 or 4 months from now?
I see it functioning pretty much the way we're functioning now. I don't see it going back to the I guess, face-to-face type of stuff. I see the salespeople getting out and training more, but I'm getting a lot of training online right now. So it's going to turn into a lot of online training and stuff, but I still think our sales guys will still be out in the field. I don't think that we can ever replace that. So, but the online ordering, the apps, and so the guys don't have to get out of their trucks. I think it's going to create some efficiencies that we never thought were there before.
There you go. How about Brian Murdoch? I mean, I see that you're on the line. How are things in your world? Brian, is he still there?
There I am. Luckily we were set up pretty well for this. I mean, we had no idea this was going to happen, but we had already gone to more of a remote model where we could all work either from home or from a hotel or wherever. So that the impact has not been as great for us. And we've kind of just shifted to kind of like Ty has, where we have gone to, hey, if you're going to come, we'll call it our location. You need to let us know so we can have it staged and ready on the dock. So there's minimal contact there. It's made us more efficient, which is good. We have seen a decline in phone volume, but not to the aspect that we thought it was going to be, either percentage wise. We've had minimal supply chain interruptions, which is good. Some of the main factories we represent were able to shift away from China, and then now back to China. But now India is, of course, a problem. So it's been interesting. But like Ty was saying too, we represent some of those, like he was saying, some of those small instantaneous water heater companies, and they are getting hammered. So that's good to see. We haven't seen too many jobs being canceled, but more just delayed. So we're getting a little anxious because we've got a lot of orders sitting in the warehouse ready to ship, but no place to ship them to right now. So maybe Ty would like to take them on for me and put them on his shelf.
As long as you hold my billing.
So any advice that you have, Brian, as far as to our contractor members out there, as far as how to communicate with you guys, how to make your jobs easier, their jobs easier, how do they make this process function now and going into the future?
Yeah, so we like everybody have started to use we've used Zoom, some WebEx, and some Microsoft Teams, but really it's just the phone works just as well. Our phone lines are all manned. Luckily we haven't had to lay anybody off, which is great. We haven't had to go to part-time yet, so that's encouraging. But really this, a lot of the same email, text is okay. It's just hard to communicate properly. But email and phone, so it really has not changed all that much. It's just obviously the face-to-face that's not possible right now.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any other associate members on the line that I don't recognize since I don't, some of you are just phone numbers, some of you are just initials. Any other associate members that kind of have some input or some advice or some suggestions that have things that have worked for them?
Remember to unmute yourselves.
So we'll kind of leave that open, and if you have something, just kind of raise your hand or put it in the chat box.
Leah, did somebody start to talk there?
Yeah, I had started. I'm also with Milwaukee, though. I know Chris hit on a lot of the points, but I think from our standpoint, it's just trying to understand how we can better serve your contractor members and what we can do to try to bring value for you. And that's been keeping us busy, just getting that feedback and understanding exactly what everyone is looking for. And I think that's the way that we're going to be able to bring the most value, is just to make sure that we keep that open line of communication, to make sure that, you know, you're reaching out to us if you see something in the field, whether it's tool related or not. Let's be honest, if it's safety related and you're trying to work through different aspects on how we can help with efficiencies or how we can help with cleaning job sites and what things might be available to them, we love getting reached out to try to help in any facet possible. So I'm sure that most of the associate members are in the same boat here. So I think communication is just key during this time.
Okay, so thank you for that setup. Perfect. Yeah. What kind of questions, do you have any questions for our associate members? John, you got anything for us?
John, you're muted.
After,
There you go. Whoop.
you know, I think that one of the things we're all struggling with is that there's lots of isolation. So we're a company that used to have an open door Tuesday where all vendors could come through and things like that. I just think that the associate members can't be afraid to go reach out and ask, hey, when can we set up a standing meeting? Can we do something that connects where we used to be there every Tuesday? Is Tuesday still a good day because our lives are all changing? Is there an ongoing meeting that you could have a connection point? Because I think they're not trying to pester, but I think we're still running into time. And some of us have soft phones and some of us just have our cell phones. So you're not as connected as well unless your soft phone connects from your main phone. So it might be helpful just to connect and make sure standing meetings would be helpful.
Nice. Lisa, what do you got? Any questions for the group or any comments?
I've unmuted Robin. No, you know, I don't have any questions. I think one of the things that I think is coming is this, when they turn the switch back on. And I know that there are various places that have done a lot of layoffs in terms of truck drivers, you know, from 25 down to 2, just because there's not the need to get out to these job sites. How are our partners when we all turn the switch back on and we all want everything Tuesday because we're all now 3 months behind, you know, how is that prioritization? How are we going to manage that need? That's just one of my things I'm just so curious about.
So Ty, why don't I have you answer that first, and then I'll open it up to some of the other associate members.
Lisa, at Ferguson, we haven't laid off anybody. The way we've adapted to it is cut hours down to 32. We want to keep many bodies as humanly possible on that can afford a 32-hour week. I don't think they have much alternatives other than to work a 32-hour week. So we should be at full speed when somebody undoes the gate.
Okay. Chris, Matt, any comments?
Yeah, I know on at least Milwaukee's side, I know we're kind of in the same position where we're very much diversified for manufacturing, and we're very strong on literally pretty much everything outside of N95 respirators. So once the gates do open up, we're going to be able to fully support, you know, whatever that demand may be, just because obviously we've been, you know, creating some demand and saving that over the last couple of months where the demand wasn't. So we're able to save that demand and make sure that we can suffice once it does come.
Brian, how about you guys? It sounds like everybody is planning well for it. Anything to add there?
Yeah, so we've been on kind of standing calls with our manufacturers weekly to figure out, we've explained just that. We're worried that when the gates do open and there's that high demand, we need to make sure we can fulfill all of that. So we think that they're preparing pretty well for that that big spike in activity, which would be great. And I kind of wanted to ask a question too from the contractor members. Is there any word on how they're going to proceed with opening up the job sites? Is it going to be, hey, Monday, Tuesday, Friday is going to be, you know, plumbers, and Tuesday, Thursdays is going to be electricians? Or is there any plan in place? Because I imagine there's going to still have to be some social distancing, temperature checks, etc. So I wonder if any of that is going on in the background.
So I'm going to actually, Ed, if you don't mind, can I put you on the spot there? Have you heard anything?
Well, it depends. The
favorite term.
It depends. Yeah. The first things first is that to get projects opened up on priority, and there is a task force working with the governor to try to prioritize groupings of task forces. Scott's on top of that from our office. In fact, he just sent me a kind of an update on that, and that there's a phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 of projects that are going to be opened up. So first things first, it's what projects can get opened up, and obviously there's a lot of pressure on the governor to open up construction projects, and whether it be single family residential, and then so on and so forth, and then, you know, getting private projects going as well as some of these public projects. So the first thing is, we're really not sure how that's going to play out or what's going to happen. The governor's made it clear he'll take input, but he's going to make a decision on his own. And I think he's demonstrated he'll do that. And then secondly, from my feedback from many of our employers and talking to everybody every day, is that every general contractor is running their projects a little different. Staggered shifts, different crews, different arrangements. And a lot of that depends on the type of project that it is, Brian. So I think it really is going to depend on the layout of the project, the use of man lifts versus a flat project versus a school, and the crew sizes and all that. It's really going to vary on how those projects get geared back up. So step one is to get the project going, and then number two is that the general that has control over that site, how they're going to manage that given the logistics.
Jerry Bush, I see you're on the line. Not to pick on you, but do you have anything to add to that?
You can pick on him.
You can pick on me.
Hey, Jerry, nice backdrop.
I gotta lean into my camera here.
Jerry, is that one of your photos, huh?
What's that?
That's one of your photos, isn't it?
That is.
That's
so. Not much to add to what Ed was saying, but it's certainly, you know, we've restarted a project already. It was considered essential, and you know, I think the key to the contractors, and most of your contractors in the room will know this, is you have to have your plan put together, your COVID plan put together for the project, and that needs to, of course, incorporate the owner and or the general contractor's requirements, whether it's taking temperature when you step onto the site or whatever. But you know, the project that we're on, we looked at mapping the project for social distancing, right? So we have, you know, a certain number of crew in different areas of the building, and then the second, you know, phase to that is, you know, what are the common areas, whether it's crew shacks, bathrooms, hand wash stations, whatever it is, to make sure that there's a protocol in place such that there's not gatherings of people around that and all that. So all that stuff. So I think that'll all, and you know, the key for us, I think, as contractors, is to demonstrate our competency and our willingness and ability to do all of that, such that the governor and others can see that. And we can actually go back to work today, in my opinion, done right on all construction projects, and get the thing back going again. But we have to demonstrate our ability and willingness to do that.
Thanks, Jerry. So Sophie, are you still on the line? Do you have any questions for our associate members?
I really don't. I know, just like on a macro scale, it seems like manufacturing is being hit really hard, but I don't know if that's necessarily like our manufacturers will have issues meeting demand, or that's just as a result of all the decreased demand. But no, I really don't.
Okay. So one last question, I guess for our associate members. As for the MCAWW Western Washington, what more can we be doing for you guys, as far as, you know, communicating out to you guys, connecting you and our contract members, increasing visibility? What else can we be doing for you guys?
And Leah, I'd like to there. Our associate members have been cheated a little bit this year because we've had to cancel our events, which you were going to generously sponsor for us. We rolled some sponsorships forward to the next event, and unfortunately we don't know exactly when that will be. So if there is some way that we can give you recognition or visibility or connect you with our contractor members in this fashion, do let us know. So does anybody have anything, any ideas?
In all honesty, I think we know we're going through a very dynamic situation right now. And at least from my standpoint, I'm not super concerned in trying to figure out how do we show that we're the associate member and we're part of this. It's really, how are we coming together as a team to try to create a solution that we're going through right now? I'm less concerned about your members knowing that Milwaukee is an associate member and that we're trying to reach out to them for whatever we're trying to get accomplished. Because let's be honest, that's not important right now. What's important is getting the job sites back up and running and figuring out how we can help each other to make that happen. So from my standpoint, I appreciate you asking the question, but I would almost return the question back to you and understand what more can we be doing for MCA Western Washington, and what does that look like, if you have any specifics?
I think honestly, just sharing information and keeping us apprised of what's happening in the supply chain is great. I would ask any of our other contractor members if you have any additional needs.
I guess from my side, the only thing that that I would ask is that as this, we don't see the state stuff that you're seeing, Ed, as far as the three-phase stuff and all that other stuff that you're working on right now, as well as site preparation. I guess any information that you can share with us on that would be fantastic.
All right, Ty, we'll do that. It's definitely a moving target. This is the, for us in the association businesses, and for many of you, it's been a day-to-day thing. It changes during the day. And so we will do that. And that's a good point that we need to include you in that stuff as we learn from it as well.
Awesome. Okay, thanks you guys. Robin, any last words or any last comments as we wrap this up for today and look again towards tomorrow?
Yes, thank you all again for participating. And tomorrow we will have a session on pros and cons of different virtual platforms. And Tyler Weisenberg from Key Mechanical, he's their Chief Information Officer, is going to share some of his expertise and talk about security with Zoom and things like that. We also are going to be converting our June luncheon on June 4th. That will become a virtual event. So we'll be advertising that. We have a virtual Toastmasters meeting coming up on April 28th at 2 p.m. Anybody's interested in joining that. And just keep in contact, and always feel free to send us any questions or comments, ideas for quick connections topics. And if Chris, if you think we may do another associate check-in down the line, hopefully we'll be all back to work sooner than later. But if not, I think it's really great to keep connected with each other. So thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you, Robin.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.